Tracy.
Thank you, Brigitte. Thank you, everyone. I think we've all had our welcome here. And to begin today with this new moon meditation, we start with our naming circle, which unites our hearts across distance as we begin our alignment and bring ourselves fully into our group work. By uniting our hearts in this way, we begin naturally to work telepathically through our group mind. And the key to this telepathic work is actually in the etheric alignment, which creates the group field, and it allows us to become both a receiving and transmitting agent for higher ideas and energies. I'll begin today by calling our names, or we will begin by calling our names into the circle, starting with our organizers. And as your name is called, please unmute yourself, your name, where you're calling in from. For example, Tracy Arbor calling in from Novi, Michigan, USA. And as we go through this, let's turn our attention to our hearts and the heart center of the group gathered today, as each one of us calls ourselves into this circle. Brigitte.
Greetings. I'm Birgitte Rasmussen, calling in from Denmark.
Welcome. Alexander, if you're on yet.
Yes.
Okay, there you are. We can't hear you, Alexander.
I'm not sure if you could hear me. Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, yes.
Yes, sorry. So I'm Alexander Ilchuk, calling in from Brooklyn, New York, in the United States.
Welcome. Andrea.
Hello, everyone. This is Andrea Russ, and I am calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the United States.
Welcome. Annetta.
Hello, everyone. I'm Annette Løffler, calling in from Denmark.
Welcome. Jillian.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gillian Douglas from Norfolk, UK.
Welcome. Helen.
Also calling.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Helen. Can you try again, please?
The speaker, sorry, my apologies. I'm Helen Franklin, and I'm also calling in from the UK. I'm a bit nearer to London. So, greetings, everybody.
Welcome. Judy.
Hello, everyone. Judy Harrison calling from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, USA.
Welcome. Kathy.
Aloha, everyone. This is Kathy Heller calling in from Hawaii. Thank you.
Welcome. Kiki.
Hello, everyone. Kiki Bill calling in from Washington, D.C., USA.
Welcome. Lynn.
Hello, everybody. This is Lynn Green. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio, in the U.S.
We can't hear you, Lynn. Please unmute yourself.
This is Lynn Green. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio, in the US.
Welcome.
You could hear that, okay.
I could hear that. I think we all heard you now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now that we're linked together as a group, let us share a few moments in silence to align, forming a triangle between Shambhala, the hierarchy, and humanity. May our efforts be of the highest vibration in selfless service for our purpose.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, friends. I want to apologize for the delay with starting the meeting. Today I confused the time and thinking that we start 30 minutes later, and forgetting that at the new moon we always try to have more time together, as there are always more to share and the main thing to meditate. So I got the message from Tracy and Birgit when I was on a train and subway. But gratitude, Birgit, for starting the meeting. So let us begin our work today. I suggest we begin with checking our community impressions board. You can find the link in the chat. Let us take a couple minutes to look through what's been shared, and thus preparing us to continue of our work of bringing the most resonant ideas and recognitions into the group chalice as we prepare for our meditation. A lot of things been shared on the community board this time. And the word that's caught my attention, the meaning of the word crisis in Greek is to sift. So it's a high point of tension, and interesting that it's happening this year, 2025, and with all our high expectations of this year, seems like it was the most natural things to expect, but yet none of us expected that it would be this challenging this year. And that's why it's, for us, it's so important, is recognizing this crisis, the global crisis, and the turmoil that it sends throughout nations, yet still stand in a point of magnetic balance and harmony. Today is the first day that Sun moves into Scorpio, leaving the sign of Libra, and in a way it's also symbolic that we working with both energy of balance and energy of crisis as it expresses through Scorpio. So it's high call for all of us to be in a position of inner stability, holding orientation towards the hierarchy, knowing that the plan exists and that the Christ is coming, and radiate it towards humanity. So let us now open our sharing and holding the sacredness of our group chalice, making our offerings.
I too was taken with that notion of crisis. And I love that word sift, because in sifting, there is discernment that happens in that those finer aspects flow through the sieve, and those that really are more crystallized in their largest kind of stay away from that more purified, refined that happens in crisis, because then what is sifted can be seen not as destructive, but as sort of what will be built in the redesigning of new. And I think that really is such a part of what we're seeing, that there is the destruction of the old that just doesn't work anymore. And this opportunity to see something different, to open to something that is new and refined from that sifting of crisis. And, again, I just go back into leadership, and we are so inundated by leadership that is commanding and controlling and very sort of reactive. And it's really looking at that other side of those characteristics and seeing leadership in communion and co-creation and revelation from a heart that sees from a calm and inclusive and illumined and steadfast and all those wonderful words of the soul that has that perspective. And it's sort of, well, how do you get there? And it really is returning to that silence. It is about a communal, in a sense, commitment to finding the silence within the cacophony that we all live in. And we as students know that comes through a meditation and that opportunity to find that door to the soul and to those qualities that then not only become part of our understanding, but become part of soul awareness in action. And it seems like, wow, how could that happen on a greater scale such that we would then create more opportunity for those in leadership to come from that perspective. But again, patience is such an important part of this. It's not going to happen tomorrow or maybe even next year, but it is going to happen. And that confidence and that optimism and that recognition of where we've come and where we are now, which is so extraordinary in what we're experiencing now in such a short time from 100 years ago, let alone millennia, and to sort of breathe with just that optimism that it is on its way. So crisis, good, sift, wonderful. Thank you.
I'd like to share a little bit. That article that was posted, what struck me was the title, "The Old Model is Dead and the New One is Being Born." And it wasn't written by an esoteric group. It is written by leaders who actually see that the old is dying and something new is being born. And through that article, the focus was on the fact that the United States has withdrawn its money from many of the important initiatives that the UN sponsored. And so this was a health initiative. It was written by, I think, the Clinton Health Access Group, and it talked about the Gates Foundation getting together. And the new leadership is communion and co-creation together. It forces, when there is no leader in the terms of soul leadership, there's an empty spot. It forces those who really haven't stood up to stand up and work with others to create what needs to be created, because what is there is not soulful any longer and no longer serves. And I've been thinking about that on a number of levels. And as you said, Alexander, even though we knew it was coming, we're so surprised. I think of the presentation that was given at the WASAC at the USR conference. And the quote was that we have to move into a state of homelessness and it has to be lived through. And when we were looking at cycles, it was homelessness for 3 years. And you think you know what that means until you watch everything collapse around you and you know that you have to hold strong. And so it's not understanding in terms of words, but it's really internalizing what is happening, and it's pulling our own leadership out of us. We thought that we could flow with it all, but we realize that as the new group of world servers, we need to take a stand as leaders. In that presentation, talked about the fact that we're looking for a new UN with soul leaders. And in fact, that really is the leadership that has to come forth if a new civilization is to be brought about, because leaders play an important part. And it doesn't have to be someone that has president written across their chest, but those who feel that whatever their skill set is, meditation and working with the energies included, we have to step into leadership to do that. Nobody who is willing to make that change can be small anymore. We all have to be leaders. So that's what that article said to me. Thank you.
I'd like us to consider what is quite a big deal over here in the UK of King Charles going over to the Vatican and praying in the Sistine Chapel. And I know these are more, the King and the Pope are more conventional leaders, but the Church of England goes back to Henry VIII, who was concerned he hadn't got a son, or I think any children at all, and wasn't allowed to remarry or be divorced in the Catholic Church, and broke away from the Catholics, destroyed most of the beautiful churches in this country, except, oddly enough, I think St. Paul's, which was a big Catholic cathedral in London. But at school in this country, where really history is Henry VIII. We touch on other things, but most kids come away from school thinking that history is Henry VIII. It has an enormous impact, and really the whole thing is a lie. And I just find it very interesting now that the current king is endeavoring to bring these two factions together. When he became king, he wished to be known, he's known in this country as a defender of faith, and that is presumed to be the Christian faith. He wished to say in his coronation that he was a defender of faiths in the plural, but he wasn't allowed to by the powers that be. But it's interesting that he would like to include all faiths, and the fact he's going initially, yes, to a Christian faith, I think it speaks of another branch of leadership changing, and I know it's got a lot more, and one may have all sorts of views about royalty. But it's also interesting how our royal family, there is certainly cracking up. It's interesting to watch. So that was happening today. And I think it is of much significance on deeper levels.
I'm reflecting on what Judy shared about leadership and the need for us to step up into position of leadership. Maybe not necessarily leadership like become leader of a movement or become political leader or any other leader, but leadership in terms of speaking up our heart and our mind and not being afraid that, oh, I'm so insignificant, it doesn't matter what I think. Somehow for me, it got really imprinted in my mind a phrase that long time ago Martin Buick said, that hierarchy, it's not the hierarchy of authority, it's hierarchy of responsibility. And I think this crisis that we're living now through will activate many new leaders. I really hope for that. Leaders that emerge from the recognition of how serious is the situation in the world now. And not just in the world, but in many nations going through own crisis of maturing. And it's up small people like us to stepping up and speaking our heart. Probably this is one of the things that we could do through our meditation, is radiate that call and stimulate and support with light and love and power all those people who are standing on that verge of, should I or should I not? Should I speak or should I not? And really encouraging this new wave of leaders on all levels to step up and be that voice of conscience, voice of truth, even when we're not fully sure that we know full truth, but speak on truth and be ready to admit that it might be not the truth, and to be open to just our views, but still be brave and speak up.
Helen's news, not story, of the king meeting with the Pope to pray. I read that headline the other day that it was happening. I also thought it was very powerful, and added to what Alexander was saying. It's the image is the lion lying down with the lamb. And it's sort of something I guess we all have to do in life somehow. Thank you.
When I hear Alexandra say that, I am reminded that I think in spirit, not of the world that we see externally, that goodness and love are not measured. There is no greater than or less than that we impose on so much of what humanity value places in its evaluation. And that, the smallest person who is distributing love is making as great an impact. And the words that we use and the voice that we have been given, and using that voice exactly as Alexandra was saying, that we become those leaders. And that voicing of the truth doesn't have to happen on a podium. And much of it is actually, I think, very important in terms of being an example and 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 being honest in how one feels and what one believes. But it's not being that leader that we're speaking of and that we are and that we should place ourselves in the position to be is not on a podium necessarily. It is as powerful to the consciousness when we speak it to a friend, when we speak it to a stranger, when we speak it to a family member, in that loving way, because that is a vibration that adds to the greater whole in very significant ways.
As you said that, Andrea, I just pictured that it's the soul leading the personality. That's really where leadership happens, when you allow soul to lead rather than the personality. And soul is always group conscious. The leaders today are very self-serving, not everyone, but certainly many of them. And to be a leader is to embrace the whole and lead from the perspective of being in communion with, as opposed to leading by being above. So leading from within and letting the soul be the leader.
In absolute inclusivity.
It's beautiful. I absolutely agree. I wanted to say that not to think about us as being leaders, as individuals, as personality, but to think that the Christ is behind us and that we're just a voice. But what you suggest, Judy, I think this is more true for all of us. The main leader is the soul and speak from the soul. And I thought of the example of Joan of Arc, who didn't want to go along her mission, but she just obeyed this inner voice that she heard. And she was the messenger. And so each of us, in a way, thinking about leadership as just obeying the inner call to be the messenger of that voice of the soul or voice of the Christ. We dare to say that, but that's soul is our mediator between our personality and the Christ.
It's what makes us disciples. Think of the disciples that we know of in history. Think of Jesus the Christ. That was a soul working through, speaking through him. And there are millions of those in our history, and there are those right now. Those are the disciples. Those are the leaders, ultimately, that will create a new civilization.
So
we certainly are attuned to one another. I hear so clearly all that you're saying, and the way it's been affecting me lately, I've had more of a social life than usual, and I found myself around people who have specialties and who are quite good at what they do, that are maybe themselves holding back. And I found myself saying, "You have so much to offer. Please share." And suddenly, more of them are sharing, the people I know. So I think that's kind of another version, a quiet little version of what you're saying.
I think of the externalization of the hierarchy, and you know that leaders that are soul infused, i.e., hierarchy, can only step in when the other leaders move aside. And so the destruction has to happen for the externalization to happen. And sometimes I try to just stand within hierarchy. And in some ways, everyone is a leader and no one is a leader at all, in that nobody leads over, they all lead with everyone there. And so that really is what needs to descend, is that level of leadership. And I see it as the externalization. So.
It's also interesting to think about the astrological aspects that are now in the sky. This year, there were one after another configurations in the sky of amazing potency. This full moon of Libra, there was a kite, and I'm not sure if it was the exact time of the full moon or following week after that, there was the Star of David in the sky. And all this time, and through, if I remember correctly, till actual festival week next year in December 2026, there will be the trine in the sky with formed by Pluto, Saturn, Neptune conjunct, and Uranus. So these outer planets will be standing in a position of benevolent stimulation. And thinking about Pluto in Aquarius, we just now start recognizing what does it mean, all the social turmoils and all the activation of new leaders, hopefully, that will emerge from grassroots movements. And with Saturn, Neptune in the first degrees, that soon they will be back to first degrees of Aries. Now they still in Pisces. That's the beginning, the beginning of the new cycle. For we know that Neptune is the planet that manifests the energy of the Christ, and coming with Saturn, the Lord of the time, the Lord of karma, it creates the how to call it, is this, when the plow goes in the soil and it turns the soil. So it's that turning of the soil. That's the effect of Neptune with Saturn at the beginning of Aries, of the sign of new beginnings, the sign of initiations. And Uranus being in the last degrees of Taurus, it's amazing potency that stimulates the world group, all disciples. So Uranus is an initiator. And it's interesting to think about these three positions of these four outer planets as a symbol for simultaneous initiations, three initiations that happening simultaneously in humanity as decay sense. So it's they're the same time, the first, second, and third initiations, this big groups of people who come to the gate and experience the crisis that precedes the initiation. So this is happening collectively now. So this is happening this year and next year, and as Judy called it, this period of homelessness, this 3-year period. So it's all is happening now.
I will say that when this triangle took place, the idea of it moving into new signs was a real eye opener for a rebirth. And this same triangle, it's kind of like spoiler, because if you go to the presentation tomorrow, you'll hear it. But this same triangle existed at the time that the United Nations signed its charter. So here we are in a new iteration, and the same triangle reappears. But this time it really is in the degrees of rebirthing, because in each sign it is brand new. I mean, it's stunning. And you talk about Uranus, but it's Uranus in Gemini, and the idea of right relationship, which the new group of world servers needs to support, to make happen, to be the middle section, the conduit between hierarchy and humanity. That really is kind of our job, that Uranus, Gemini, right relationship. I think that we've studied these energies for so long. Now it's really time to look at how we're living them.
Thank you for correcting me. Yes, true. I said last degrees of Taurus, but yeah, it's now 0 degree of Gemini. It's retrograding, but yeah, it's already working, transmitting the energy of Gemini for us. And I'm showing on the screen now the chart for this moment. And so this is the triangle that I was talking about. This Pluto in first degree of Aquarius. Saturn, Neptune conjunct now in the last degree of Pisces, going very soon back to Aries. And here is our benevolent Uranus in 0 degree, retrograde in 0 degree of Gemini.
And we all know it's the creative degree. It's like, when you look at the bottom there, it's like, oh, my goodness.
And actually this right here, this cusp of Taurus and Gemini, we have Alcyone within the Pleiades. So all this period while Uranus go back and forth on this cusp, it's transmit the energy of Alcyone and Pleiades. And Pleiades is one of the major constellations, along with the Sirius system and the Great Bear, transmitting the energy of the triad.
the turning of the soil. I guess it's one word is tilling of the soil. And I sort of, it slipped in my mind and it went in tilling of the soul. And I thought, well, that's quite appropriate too.
As you say that, a slip of the word, this past Sunday when we had our meditation group and we were reciting the great invocations, it was to construct a great divining wall. And as soon as I heard that, instead of a dividing wall, it was a divining wall. And I knew that that was the right word. It really was the path of Libra right through the middle, and it was divine. It was that wall which really brought goodness, on one, it really went right through the middle. And it wasn't a dividing, it was a divining, because that's really what stood there. And I understood that that was the new language that needed to be brought through, that we have to construct a great divining wall because the rule of evil now must end. Yeah, it spoke of synthesis.
I feel I speak too much today, so it's the last thing I will share. But continuing the topic of slips of words, tomorrow we will have the UN celebration day, the birthday, 80th birthday of the UN, and the 2025 initiative, together with the Moria Federation, co-organizes a 5 parts event, 6 hours event. The announcement was sent, probably you received it, but I put it in the chat again. And so in the original announcement, when we sent it, one of the parts where we will be talking about the vision of the unfolding divine plan for United Nations and uniting nations and humanity, somehow out of correction brought it up into the unfolding the diving plan. And I've noticed it only after it's been sent. And we had a good laugh with Tuya that actually diving plan, it's something we really need. So we really need now to go deep, as deep as possible, and becoming like touching the lowest point of the matter, and from that point building up. And so yes, the divining and diving, those are very good and peculiar slips of words.
But the synchronicity of it all, and what do they say, that you're touching the sacred when you have lots of synchronicities, that God is with you.
Some of our members who've worked with us have seemed to dive into
Lynn, we cannot hear you, or maybe just me.
understanding of it.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I had a problem with connections or is it Lynn had the connection. Could anyone hear what Lynn was saying?
No, it's Lynn's problem.
No.
No,
Couldn't hear Lynn either.
couldn't
I'm
hear.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what it was. What I had said was that it seems that some of us, some of our members have dived into the power of silence. And I'm not sure I have a good understanding of that. And I was wondering if some people might comment on that do have a deep understanding of it.
I don't have a deep understanding, this is Kathy, of it, but I am experiencing it. And what seems to be the motivation or the passion in experiencing the silence is that everything that somehow by putting words or names to things, it seems to immobilize certain flows into, I guess, into thought forms or something. And so with so much flowing and changing and with a hopefulness of emerging into purity and the values that we hold so high or so esteem for and wish for our society and our country and our species, our kingdom, whatever, is to somehow it seems like it isn't the time to freeze things yet. It with words and form. So that's why I'm staying in the silence for what it's worth.
Thanks, Kathy.
I see it as if you can silence your thoughts and be open to what comes from on high. So just be open, and as Kathy said, with no words, then you can experience the silence and hopefully get some energy from the soul down to the personality. Thank you.
I think too, when you're in a place of silence, you leave this three-dimensional world so that it opens your space up to receiving also from all dimensions, especially those that are higher, because we're at the densest plane here on the physical. And yeah, what everybody said, of course. Thank you.
And yet humanity has been given the gift of voice and words, and collectively, even through different languages, we learn to express our feelings and what we experience. And I often find that bringing what I receive from the silence into words is a really important component, particularly the spoken word, because I think it is the spoken word in some ways that is very powerful, not only in the immediacy of what we're speaking and who we're speaking to, but I think that there is something about its power within the collective consciousness. And so I would much prefer to be in the silence. But I think it's really important to contemplate the words that, as closely as possible, can correlate with the messages that we hear. But sometimes that's impossible. And sometimes you get close, and sometimes not at all. But there's something about being able to communicate and share, which happens on some level within humanity through words as well as thoughts. But we have the gift of words.
I do believe in the blue books that they say silence is not about not speaking. So it really isn't about not speaking. It's really about being able to listen in the silence. And it kind of goes along with this last question of how do you learn to intuit? And it is through the silence, but it's not necessarily through the quiet of no words.
I think there's a phrase I like somewhere in the blue books that says, joyfulness is a silence which sounds. And I very much like that. Also, reading actually with Kiki last Sunday, something about in esoteric healing about death and the importance of the sound and the word and the difference between the two. And you know, the word, as Andrea was saying, is very important. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. It obviously does have a great importance, and we're told the devas, which I just get a sense that the Devic kingdom is more present with the incoming fourth ray, but they see sound and they build accordingly. So the sound and hopefully the joyfulness that come out of the silence are very important in when we're looking at building the infrastructure of the golden age.
Yeah, I think silence too is kind of what we were saying, and Andrea mentioned about, words are important, too. And what Helen just said, joyfulness is a silence that sounds. I think it's more of a meditative way of living. In other words, becoming more responsive as opposed to reactive. When we take something in, if we're in a group or whatever, and we do it in a silent way, we're reflecting more. We could be reflecting more as opposed to just reacting kind of thing. And then I think that's like number 3, where it says actions speak louder than words. You can tell a great leader, someone who truly cares, they don't just spiel out words, just to talk and say things, I'm going to say like talk show hosts or something would. But you can see where they take things in, they think about it, and then they speak. I think that's part of going into the silence. And also when we're in that space of going within before we speak or whatever, I think we also connect better with others again on the etheric level, and that's where the telepathy starts to come in again. In humanity, we're going to start becoming more telepathic with each other. So I think, I don't know. Anyway, thanks.
So much wisdom has been shared. This is very enriching for me. Thank you, everyone. And Andrea, many the time at the end of a meditation in one of the groups, you've expressed your experience without translation or interpretation. You know, let's say you were always you've often provided the service of just, you know, expressing like images. I mean, there's others of you that have as well. You know, expressing images or colors or feeling tone or something that is the preceding, you know, to words that may be interpretation or and words are and language is us as creators, as co-creators of this reality are what are one of our most powerful tools, and to be used, you know, very with great integrity and honor, which everyone in this group does, and certainly you have, Andreas. I just want to acknowledge that courage and that service that I believe is very conscious and intentional on your part. And sometimes I remember Judy as well doing similar things, and the rest of you probably have, but I just want to acknowledge that is also very precious to me as well. Thank you.
I agree. And when you said that the word in the Bible, I thought about the word is vibration. And when we speak from the soul, from as high as we can, then the vibration is finer and more potent than if we are in the personality. So words are creating things, and vibrations. So the higher we can get in vibrations in our consciousness, the more power it gets in creating. Thank you.
So now I will put on my facilitator's hat and say that we're now coming close to the time of our meditation, and also want to acknowledge that the silence is integral part of our work, and so we honor those of us who chooses not to share and yet be fully present, holding the tension of the group meditation. This is our work of magic, weaving together, precipitating impressions into the group chalice. So holding silent tension of the chalice is an important part of our work. And with these words, I want to invite Jill to lead us in the meditation, now act of group magic. Over to you, Jillian.
Thank you, Alexander. Hello, everyone. There were some lovely comments there, and thank everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for the great comments we've had and the thoughts. Now, for our topic, to reiterate, Aquarian leadership through discernment from the heart, building the new infrastructure. So for the meditation now, we'll begin. Let us move into silence and become aware of the stillness within. Align with your heart, your ajna, and soul. And from your soul, link with the group heart, the group mind, and the group soul. The heightened vibration and love that we hold within our group now draws the presence of higher vibrational beings who are here to guide and assist the energy and thought forms we will be magnetizing. Let us now connect with the hierarchy through our group Antakarana as we link the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. Visualize before us the glowing beauty of our chalice, which our work together feeds and fills. This golden chalice is made of numerous threads of golden light, which have been energized through our group contemplation, impressions, thoughts, and heartfelt unity. We are currently under the influence of Libra in a flux of continuous glowing change, morphing from the inflow and outflow of its energies. Libra lies on the cardinal cross. It is a sign of balance and equilibrium, usually visually shown as weighing scales. In esoteric astrology, it is put on page 168, Libra admits the soul into the world's center, which we call Shambhala, for it is the polar opposite sign of Aries, which is the place of beginnings. Libra demonstrates the perfect balance of spirit and matter, which first came together in Aries. So let us reconnect with our topic. Aquarian leadership through discernment from the heart, building the new infrastructure. And take a few moments in silence to reflect on all that has been shared together, including our responses. We ask the hierarchy to guide and inspire us as we allow our thoughts to crystallize, grasping the essence of the purpose of our work throughout this cycle. And with love, we offer our efforts into the chalice, each one unmuting and speaking as you are moved to. And as already said, we also honor those who choose not to speak, but who silently offer their formulated seeds into the chalice. After each vocalized offering, we will allow each seed to rest in silence for a while before the next one is offered. Let us now begin, so each person may speak as they feel moved to.
As soul leaders, we step forth and bring forth soul leadership in humanity.
Let us all voice the revelation of the soul through the heart that sees clearly because it loves greatly.
Mindfulness, connection, love. This is the new infrastructure for the Aquarian age.
In the silence, one can find love to take out.
Connect with and encourage soul expression wherever you find it.
Try to be the soul and react from the soul.
Group love, group trust, group leadership for the common good.
In the silence of the will and the fire of the heart. Let us overcome our karmic. Let us transmute our karmic debt and set on the path through Scorpio and Sag to Capricorn.
Balance the vertical and horizontal through a radiant heart.
It is when we are silent, the masters can contact us to give help.
Let the leadership of the soul stimulates our loving, willing action.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak now? In that case, I'll just carry on. We focus on the purpose of our work today and the seeds collected, allowing them to vibrate and resonate within the embracing light of our group vessel. We magnetize it now with the light of Libra as we invoke the will to good to potentiate our group intention. Thank you all for this evening, or this today for you. Thanks.
So we hold the chalice, lifting it to the light of Libra towards hierarchy, magnetizing and potentiating all the seeds.
We
And
now
with-
turn towards humanity and offer our service in support of the collective evolution of humankind. Let us now close our work as we identify with the soul in all and apply our efforts to be in accordance with divine will. We now send forth the results of our efforts, thoughts, love, and the energy of our group work to help our earth in all its diversity and ultimate unity through its transformational journey into the sacred. We do this through focused direction of energy from our group ajna, sending the light out to higher beings, to other spiritual groups, to the soul of humanity, and to all sentient beings as we assist the forces of light. And in conclusion, we seal and complete our work together today by sounding the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. May light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May Christ descend on earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call humanity, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Om. Om. Om.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Jillian. I really want to express our gratitude for you stepping up this month and focalizing our work. And we all learning by doing. It's the best way to learn something. So I thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I invite you to consider everyone to lead us, focalize our work in the next cycle of Scorpio. We have volunteers for this cycle of Sagittarius. Judy, Andrea, and Marta will lead us as a triangle in Sagittarius, but we welcome your leadership to step in and focalize our work in the cycle of Scorpio. Thank you, everyone. It's very special to be together.